Oh, hark and listen to the saga of Urron Greyjoy, Lord of the Iron Isles, Master of Pike, a name etched in salt and stone. His tale unfolds not long after he has expanded his dominion to include Orkwatch, a stepping stone towards ambitions as vast and turbulent as the sea itself. The acquisition of the gold mines there promised wealth, a resource is coveted by the Ironborn as the drowned god's favor. Lord Urron, ever the calculating architect of his house's future, surveyed his growing strength. Nearly 4,000 swords sworn to his banner, and pondered the path to greater power. His mind sharpened, weighed the cost and benefits of challenging rivals, perhaps even King Harwin, though such thoughts were kept deeper than the Kraken's lair. Yet fate, as it often does, intervened. Word arrived, King Harwin, his liege lord, weary and perhaps suspicious, intended a grand tour, a visit to the wind-swept shores of Pike. Urron, though brave and zealous, knew the delicate dance required. He must appear the loyal vassal while shielding the embers of his own burgeoning power. The king arrived, a man seemingly burdened by the years, listless and distant. Urron, ever observant, attempted flattery, suggesting a play, reenacting the king's past glories. In the great hall of Pike, a feast is underway. The torches cast long shadows. The air is thick with the smell of roasted meat and salt spray. Urron Greyjoy sits near the king at the high table. Harwin looks bored and weary, pushing food around his plate. Urron, with a hospitable smile, he leans slightly towards the king.
Your Grace, it honors the Iron Isles deeply to host you. I trust the journey wasn't too taxing. The sea can be a harsh mistress, even for a king.
Harwin barely glances at Urron, taking a long drink from his goblet.
The sea is wet, Greyjoy, much like this beast.
We are simple folk here, Your Grace, but we know greatness when we see it. In fact, I was thinking, your life has been one of remarkable deeds. Perhaps to honor you, we could stage a small play, recreating one of your famous victories, a reminder of past glories for all to admire.
Harwin stares blankly for a moment, then scoffs.
Plays are for the Greenland fools and children. Glories fade. What matters is the present, and the present requires more wine.
Of course, Your Grace. More wine for the king. Still, perhaps a tale of tragedy might prove moving. Something with weight, reflecting the harsh realities we all face.
Tragedy? The only tragedy here is this tedious waiting. Is there nowhere on this damp rock a man can get a proper drink? Come, Greyjoy! The night is young, enough of this mummery. Where's the real drink? Lead me to it.
As Your Grace commands, there is a local establishment. Humble, but the ale is strong. Perhaps it will be more to your liking.
As long as it flows freely. Lead on.
And now, the air is thick with smoke and the low murmurs of drinkers in the pub. Urron and Harwin sit at a rough-hewn table surrounded by empty tankards. Harwin is visibly drunk, red-faced and loud. Urron looks strained.
See, Greyjoy? This is hospitality. Not your place, just ale. Good, strong ale. Keep it coming.
Another round for his grace.
You Ironborn, you Greyjoy Ironborn, always grasping, always wanting for more. Do you think I can't see it? You think that I don't know what lurks beneath that loyalty of yours?
We serve the crown, your grace, as we always have. The Iron Isles are yours.
Ah! Mine. Aye, for now. But the tide always turns, doesn't it, Greyjoy? Remember that. Right. That's enough of this squalor. Time for a king to rest.
As Harwin turns to leave, swaying slightly, Urron reaches out.
Your grace, the reckoning.
And as Harwin looks back, a vague look of surprise on his face, quickly replaced by disdain.
The bill? You're the host, Greyjoy. See to it. A small price to pay for the honor of my visit, wouldn't you say?
It was a harsh sound in the smoky room as Harwin stumbled out, leaving Urron alone at the table with a considerable bill and a rising sense of stress and resentment. The visit left Urron stressed, a condition only slightly eased by the news of another son born to him, Balon, a strong name for an Ironborn. Seeking an outlet for his mounting tension, Urron turned to the familiar comfort of training. In a move that may seem strange, yet speaks volumes of his desperation, Urron sparred with his youngest daughter, Hega, barely more than a babe, sickly though she was. Though she was small and frail, the act of training, the clash of practiced steel, of carrying the babe as he wandered the forest, seemed to ground him. This unconventional method, however, soon led to a harrowing experience. Young Hega, perhaps wandering after a training session, became lost in the unforgiving wilds near the keep. Urron, frantic, scoured the woods, the ordeal teaching him harsh lessons about survival, about living off the land when necessity demanded. Finding her safe, it brought relief, but the incident carved new lines of worry onto his face. Hardly the dust had settled when duty called Urron away once more. A grand tournament beckoned in the Greenlands, hosted by King Garland in the Reach. An opportunity for glory, for wealth, and possibly to ease the relentless stress that gnawed at him. As always, travel in Westeros was fraught with peril, especially for an Ironborn lord. Yet Urron, ever brave, undertook the journey. He arrived seeking not just victory, but respite. An artisan was commissioned to inscribe the family motto onto his axe abyss. We do not so. Further increasing the renown of his clan. The tournament began under darkening skies, mirroring the mood of the realm. News arrived. A tyrannical war had erupted. Some lord rising against King Harwin.
War for
Urron wisely
war against the
chose
tyranny of King
neutrality.
Haywin.
His time for larger conflicts had not yet come. His focus remained the tournament games. The joust was proving particularly brutal. Many men met their end upon the splintered lances.
Swishing with the remains of the
Though he didn't qualify for the main melee event, a drunken altercation where a clumsy knight named Roy spilled drink
You
upon
should be
him
more careful.
led to
Roy
Urron
said.
having the man ejected.
Royce,
A small
guards, get him
assertion
out
of
of
authority amidst the chaos, Urron found himself drawn into the dueling lists, a true test of individual skill where his excellent prowess could bear itself upon the people. Before his first duel, his opponent Lothar attempted bribery, offering a hefty sum of gold for Urron to feign defeat, but Urron Greyjoy could not be bought. Lothar, you fool, you cannot buy your way out of this, he declared, his voice ringing with cold ironborn pride. His skill proved superior. Lothar was defeated. His next opponent was his own Captain Carl. Urron, recognizing the man's loyalty, yet unwilling to show weakness, pressed Carl, and he wisely conceded. And this brought him to the finals against Lord Peter. The very knight whose victory had earlier padded Urron's purse. The duel was fierce, Peter perhaps seeking revenge fought with grim intensity. Urron, sensing a feint, a trap laid with a powerful blow, he chose to take the hit, a calculated risk, accepting pain and injury for the chance at victory. The gamble paid off. Urron emerged victorious, champion of the duel, earning esteem as a gifted duelist. Celebrations followed, filled with drinking dares. The main feast is wound down, but pockets of revelry continue. Torches burn lower, casting a flickering light. Urron sits somewhere apart, nursing a cup, a slight furrow in his brow indicating a headache. Laughter and drunken shouts echo intermittently. Lady Carissa approaches, lute in hand. She pauses near Urron's table. She strikes a chord on her lute. Drawing the attention of those nearby, she looks directly at Urron.
My Lord Greyjoy, amidst the clang of steel and the thrill of victory, perhaps a softer sound might soothe the victor's brow? A small tune, if I may.
Urron looks up, his expression guarded but polite. He gives a slight committal nod. His headache is evident, but his gaze is sharp. The hall has heard much noise tonight, Lady Carissa. A melody would be a change. Proceed. Lady Carissa smiles. A calculated warmth in her eyes, she begins to play and sing the song, a ballad ostensibly about a lonely kraken rising from the depths, drawn by the strength and fire of a storm-tossed ship's mast, yearning for its power.
From silent depths the shadows sleep. A mighty hunter secrets keep. He watches waves to crash and roar and spies a strength unseen before. A lonely mast against the gray, you stand so proud. Come what may, this weary would not seek ashore. A gentle harbor evermore.
The song finishes on a lingering, hopeful chord. Carissa holds Urron's gaze.
A simple tune, my lord, inspired by resilience.
Resilience is hammered into us by the sea, my lady, not sung. Your voice is fair and the skill commendable.
His compliment is attached, acknowledging the performance but not the underlying message. He looks past her, his thoughts clearly already moving on to matters of strategy, power, or perhaps just the pounding in his head.
Thank you for the interlude. Enjoy the rest of the evening celebrations.
He gives another slight nod, a clear dismissal. Lady Carissa holds her smile, though a flicker of frustration might cross her features before she curtsies lightly and melts back into the remaining crowd, leaving Urron to his thoughts and his drink. The archery contest proved less successful. Urron failed to qualify, however his keen eye for horseflesh served him well in the races. He placed his bet on a horse ridden. It was with skill and perhaps a bit of iron-born grit. Carl guided the steed through the chaos. Urron Greyjoy, the Ironborn Lord, tasted victory once more, declared champion of the horse race. His reputation growing even in the Greenlands. The tournament yielded tangible rewards. A finely crafted necklace and prized armor adding to his already formidable prowess. His prowess, enhanced by the new steel, became legendary. Few would dare face him now. The journey home was eventful. Urron and his men dispatched bandits among the small folk, etching warnings onto horns as a grim message. He declined the services of a wandering knight-errant searching for mythical fountains. But more curiously, he encountered a hermit, a reachman, follower of the Seven, yet possessing intriguing knowledge, particularly of the growing kind. Seeing potential value, perhaps for the harsh lands of the Isles, Urron took the hermit into his entourage, ignoring the protests of the lady who had previously sheltered him. He had made him the hermit in his court, hoping his strange wisdom might prove useful. While passing through the reach, whispers of dragon lore reached his ears. Ancient knowledge, perhaps valuables or merely tall tales. The codes of chivalry observed among the Reach Knights garnered a flicker of admiration. Though such ideals were foreign to the Ironborn way, more practically he encountered a band of seasoned mercenaries, their captain particularly impressive. Recognizing the immediate value of more swords, Urron hired them on the spot. 600 hardened warriors to bolster his own forces, easing the path for future conquests. Though their loyalty was tied to his lifespan, their strength was welcome now. He continued holding his skills, delving into animatical studies and preparing for future battles. Returning to Pike, Urron found encouraging news. His young daughter Hega had recovered from her sickliness and showed a curious nature, hinting at future potential. Even more promising, the high-quality ore had been discovered in the newly acquired mines at Orc Watch, proving the venture's worth and boosting his treasury. He considered raiding nearby lands but held back, focusing on consolidation. The discovery of the ore offered choices: trade with the Greenlands, upgrading his troops, or crafting new weapons and cannons for the ships. The path he chose was one that promised great long-term development. News of another daughter, Kenya, arrived. His mind, ever restless, turned back to strategy. Studying histories he learned from the tales of Arthur Irons, the Falcon Knight, whose clever use of terrain and decoys won him a kingdom. Inspired, Urron focused his own martial studies, becoming an expert in rough terrain warfare, a skill undoubtedly valuable in the rugged Isles and beyond. His gaze fixed firmly on his rivals within the Iron Isles. House Drum, weakened by the recent death of their lord, became his next target. He began plotting to secure a claim on their lands, specifically in the Isles, aiming to seize. His gaze fixed firmly on his rivals within the Iron Isles. House Drum, weakened by the recent death of their lord, became his next target. His claim on Needlefin had come through, and then he had begun plotting for his next target, Beachbone, held by House Drum. The time was ripe. His liege lord was distracted by peasant revolts, and House Harlaw remained a reliable ally. Urron gathered his forces, including his newly hired mercenaries, and declared war. The campaign was swift and brutal. Urron's forces moved decisively, overwhelming the defenders of Needlefin. He captured the rival lord but ransomed him for much needed gold. Knowing the man posed little threat for now, the subsequent siege, though time-consuming, was successful. Needlefin fell, effectively cutting the remaining Black Tide holdings in half and tightening Urron's grip on the Iron Isles. He now held the lordship, and its coffers were thankfully untouched by the ravages of war. The victory significantly increased Urron's power. His forces nearly doubled. House Drum was wounded, vulnerable. Urron knew it was only a matter of time before he claimed their ancestral seat as well. Observing the turmoil surrounding his young liege lord, who struggled with peasant uprisings and instability following his father's death, Urron felt secure from an interference from above. He focused on consolidating his power and nurturing his own heir, taking his son under his wing for martial training, intending him to follow the path of a warrior. Alliances shifted, his own pact dissolved with the change of leadership, but Urron remained steadfast, his eyes ever on the prize, dominance over the Iron Isles. He focused on consolidating his own power and nurturing his own children, taking his son under his wing for martial training, intending him to follow the path of the warrior. The lure of gold and glory soon called again. Another tournament, this time hosted by the Storm King in the Greenlands. Urron, ever eager to test his mettle and fill his coffers, prepared for the journey south, hiring many guides to navigate the unfamiliar terrain. Before departing, he dealt with a minor prisoner, Tahana, contemplating taking her as a concubine before deciding to simply ransom her away, favoring pragmatism over a passing fancy. Upon arrival at the tournament grounds, he ensured his armor was perfectly fitted, dismissing an apprentice armor's shardy work with the straps, demanding quality even in the smallest of details. Once again, the persistent Lady Carissa sought his attention, her spouse now conveniently deceased. Urron remained courteous but distant, flattered but unmoved by her second attempt at romance during these tourneys. The main event began. He relied on skill, not trickery, entering the fray. He failed to fell his opponent initially, but quickly recovered, demonstrating the grit to overcome his enemies. He faced another opponent, Davin, forcing him to kneel in submission. His only, however, interfered, preventing a decisive outcome. Undeterred, Urron turned his attention to the joust once again, exposing a woman's attempt to compete disguised. A moment of overwhelming stress hit him again, perhaps from the pressures of command and competition, but he quickly regained his composure. And then came the tilts. The joust, always a dangerous affair, turned lethal under Urron's lance. Before the first tilt, drama unfolded as one lord attempted to poison another's horse, resulting in the Storm King ejecting the offender. Urron faced his first opponent. The banners flickered. With deadly precision, Urron aimed for the head. His lance struck true, killing the man Hastwick instantly. A quiet hush fell over the crowd. The second tilt was against a knight named Robert of House Root. Again, Urron's lance found its mark with deadly force. A shower of splinters, a sickening impact. Robert was maimed, then succumbed to his injuries. 2 passes, 2 deaths. The Iron Lord was carving a bloody path through the competition. He faced another opponent, Lord Cosgrove, saluting his foe. Urron charged. Another brutal impact. Another opponent maimed and killed. The danger was palpable. Urron himself seemed aware he might not survive this bloodbath. His final opponent was Lord Lucifer, a low-born warrior. Lucifer, perhaps intimidated or simply outmatched, lost his spare lances. Urron, the master jouster, pressed his advantage. Though Lucifer managed to survive the encounter, the victory was Urron's. He had dominated the joust, a chilling display of martial prowess, and as victor, he held the privilege of naming the Queen of Love and Beauty, bestowing the honor upon his wife Franca. Perhaps a rare moment of public tenderness or simply upholding tradition. The archery contest again saw him fail to qualify, and a bet placed on another archer failed to pay off, but the horse race offered a different chance. News arrived during the tourney. His claim against House Drum had been solidified. The path to war was clear upon his return. He qualified for the race, selecting his jester to ride for him. A whimsical choice, or a calculated move to unsettle his opponents. During the race, he quelled a mob, demonstrating authority even amidst the festivities. His choice proved successful. Victory was secured once more. Next came the board games, a contest of wits rather than brawn. He easily won his first match. He faced King Urron, choosing not to antagonize him further despite the opportunity. Recognized as the favorite, he declined a favor from House Mina, perhaps wary of entanglements. In another match, Urron played by Ironborn rules, buying off an opponent to secure an advantage. He won the first game, but ultimately didn't win the overall tournament, though another competitor did meet their end during the intense matches. Despite this, his efforts were rewarded with the prize scepter. The tournament concluded. Urron, laden with prizes, armors, a necklace, a scepter, all the victories he turned his ship towards Pike, his mind already fixed on the impending war with House Drum. Back in the Iron Isles, Urron wasted no time. He surveyed his forces, noting the strength of Lord Morin's Drum's household god, particularly their 200 reavers. Heavy infantry requiring a specific counter. Urron, ever the tactician, invested in armored horsemen, recognizing their effectiveness against such foes. He ensured his levies were at full strength, and after politely declining an offer of a concubine, and finding his preferred choice surprisingly hated him, Urron officially declared war on House Drum. His target, the formidable Drum Tower. Raising his banners, Urron directed his forces towards the primary objective. He discovered Drum had secured an alliance with House Butley, complicating matters slightly, but Urron pressed the siege, confident in his strength. He wisely avoided a direct assault across the straits, recognizing the defenders' advantage and the quality of Drum's troops, a potentially decisive loss if engaged recklessly. Patience was key. While besieging the war goal, Urron took steps to secure his own legacy, involving his son in government, sharing power to temper youthful ambitions. A spy was discovered in his camp and swiftly dealt with, executed. The siege progressed. News arrived another son was born Drennan, but also ill tidings. Urron himself fell sick, becoming infirm. A worrying development for the warrior lord. His body weakened, but his mind and his resolve held firm. He continued to oversee the siege, waiting for the opportune moment. Raiders then harassed his lands, a nuisance he couldn't immediately address while focused on the main war effort. His rival Urron formed an alliance through marriage, a move Urron noted with interest, perhaps considering similar tactics for future conflicts. The strategic landscape shifted again. Lord Drum secured another alliance, this time with Orkwood, bolstering his own forces. Urron, not to be outmaneuvered, countered by forging his own alliance with House Goodbrother, leveraging a betrothal between families to bring their swords into the fray. The scales tipped back into his favor. The allied forces arrived just as Drum attempted to break the siege. A decisive battle ensured near Heartstone Hills. Urron's forces, strengthened by the Goodbrothers, crushed the enemy, though not without loss. Though casualties were taken, the victory secured the war's outcome. Urron pressed the siege on a secondary holding, the ticking war score now firmly in his favor. During this time, his liege lord died. King Harwin had passed the mantle on to a mere babe, Uric IV, further reducing any threat of interference. Urron also gained insights into siegecraft, learning techniques to enhance speed with sappers, a valuable addition to his military knowledge. He also became the cultural head of the entirety of the Ironborn. He noted the possibility of claiming his infant liege's title, though the time was not yet right. Finally, the war concluded. Urron stood victorious. He had taken Beachbone, Drum Tower, and the surrounding lands, further expanding his power base and dealing a crippling blow to his rivals. The Iron Isles were steadily following under his dominion. A 5-year truce settled over the Isles, but Urron's ambition knew no rest. His gaze already turned towards the weakening House Harlaw, plotting his next move even as he distributed the newly conquered lands, granting Brunswick to a loyal follower. The saga of Urron Greyjoy, the Kraken rising, was far from over. His strength grew, his influence spread, and the shadow of his ambition stretched longer across the waves. And in a moment of genius, an opportunity appeared for Lord Urron Greyjoy. He considered possibly uniting the houses of Hurlaw and Greyjoy, the lands united under one banner. The opportunity was to press the claim of his sister-in-law, also his daughter-in-law, a move that could bring valuable land under his influence without excessive cost. The balance of power seemed favorable for such a venture. Urron weighed the risk and rewards, his mind constantly calculating the next step on the path to ultimate control over the Iron Isles. The infirmity still lingered, a shadow over his strength, but his spirit, forged in the harsh isles and tempered by war, remained unbroken. The Kraken was consolidating its coils, preparing to strike anew. And so Urron Greyjoy, new master of the Drum Tower and Lord of Pike, his body might bear the marks of age and infirmity, but his will remained iron, his ambition boundless. He'd overcome many trials and expanded his holdings through shrewd strategy and ruthless warfare. House Drum was broken, and House Harlaw was next. The Iron Isles was feeling the weight of his power. The drowned god surely was smiling upon his zealous servant. The challenges were immense, the path forward stained with blood and sacrifice. But for Urron Greyjoy, there were only the endless grasping, the relentless drive to carve his name indelible and feared into the very bedrock of the Iron Isles. His saga, written in iron and salt water, continued.